The miraculous run to the postseason continues for the Nashville Predators, at least for another day. Preds pick up a entertaining 3-2 win over the Vegas Golden Knights with a couple of familiar young heroes. We'll talk about that and what the Preds need to do the last week to secure that last playoff berth today on the Locked On Predators podcast.
Your Locked On Predators, your daily podcast on the Nashville Predators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Predators your first listen of the day, every single day. We are your free Nashville Predators podcast, available to you wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube. I'm Nick Morgan. I'm a writer at Penalty Box Radio, and I have a partner in crime.
You do. I'm Ann Kimmel. I'm a writer and editor at InsideThePreds.com.
Today's episode is also brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, the official sportsbook of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn today to get started. Well, it seems like every time we're like, yeah, this might be it for the Predators' playoff chances, they come out and pull out a win over a good team.
Yeah, we keep sending the memo and it keeps bouncing back, unable to deliver. Okay.
Yeah, we're like, no, we heard you. We're taking this to the very end.
Yeah. This team, love it or hate it. And we know there are some people
There's
who
a lot of people that hate it. Yes.
And we can dig into that if we need to.
No.
But love it or hate it, this team has just decided, no, we're in it. Like, we're in it for the long haul. And the long haul is only a few more games, but it's going to feel like dog years, my friends. So just get snacks and buckle up, because the end of this season is going to be a whole thing.
Yeah. And it's not a bad thing. Like I said, it is definitely not a bad thing for this team, a hodgepodge, ragtag group of people.
Yes.
To be in a playoff chase and playing meaningful games down the stretch. I just don't see a lot of downside to that, other than, their strong chance they get their faces stomped in round one. But
do we even really care if that happens?
I mean, no, I don't think so. Like, I don't personally. Like,
I don't even think that's a bad thing, because look, there's a lesson in that for these young players. Like, how is what's happening now a bad thing? I can't get my mind around it, friend.
Yeah, I mean, you have young players who you're hoping are going to be the core of your team stepping up and playing meaningful hockey down the stretch. And if they somehow wind up playing in some NHL playoff games down the stretch, that's not a bad thing either to me. I mean, yeah, I mean, the odds are going to be very, very much stacked against them. But
for sure.
I mean, Sidney Crosby and the Penguins got absolutely humiliated their first time in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And then the next year they made it to the Stanley Cup Finals. So, I mean, not saying that's going to happen here, but, it's getting there and getting that first experience. That's never a bad thing to me. Like, playing meaningful hockey down the stretch, never a bad thing. Let's talk about this game last night, shall we? Because it was certainly a hockey game.
It was a hockey game, friends.
It was a hockey game.
It was a game of hockey.
Preds go up 2-0 in the first period, thanks to Tommy Novak and also Tommy Novak. More on his night in a second, in his season so far. Looked like the Predators added a third, but Tyson Barrie kicked the goal into the net, so that was waved off. And then same old story, same old song and dance, according to the Locked On Podcast Network and Aerosmith. Alex Pietrangelo scores in the second to make it 2-1, and then scores again to tie the game. Preds were on the back foot, made it to overtime, a penalty call that I think some Knights fans might not be too thrilled with. Winds up giving the Preds a 4-on-3, and then Cody Glass, not sure if he was trying to pass it or if that was intentionally shot off Braden McNabb's foot, but either way, Cody Glass gets the goal that puts the Predators up 3-2. That's the final score in overtime. And your one word to describe the game.
You actually almost stole my one word already in this show, just so you know. So, my one word is a quote from one of my all time favorite Disney stage shows. I'm not talking about the movie. I'm not talking about Batman when he was young. I'm talking about Newsies the musical. And in Newsies the musical, there is a reporter who is writing about the young the newsies who sell the newspapers who begin protesting a raise in their cost. And she talks about them being a ragtag group of ragamuffins. So you kind of stole my thunder a little bit there.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said
That's
ragtag.
okay. It makes me think you might know the musical, which is endearing. So it's all good.
I think I know one song.
Do you?
Is that like the Open the Eyes and Seize the Day?
Yes, come
Okay.
on.
I know one Newsies song.
Oh my gosh. We're going to add this to your playlist just so everybody knows. I think it is on either Apple TV or it might be on Netflix. It's on a streaming service. Go watch Newsies the musical. It's incredible. But anyway, she refers to this group as a ragtag group of ragamuffins. And I'm like, that is this Nashville Predators team. And what their success was last night is sort of the storyline from Newsies, because you have this underdog, you have this group that's sort of torn apart and pieced together, and they're facing the top team in points in the Western Conference, a definite playoff team, and the heroes are out. We don't have Forsberg, we don't have Duchesne, we don't have Yossi. UC Saros has the night off, but this ragtag group says, you know what, we're just going to work together and get it done. We're going to find a way to take on this Goliath. And that's exactly what they did. Now, was it always pretty? No, my friends. At one point, the Newsies get beat up. So it's not always pretty by the cops. It's a whole thing. It's a little dark. Yeah.
Oh, how very relevant. Go ahead.
Yeah. Corruption. Yeah. Even back in the late 1800s. Who'd have thunk it?
Yeah.
But they find a way to do what seems impossible. And so for me, I'm here 100% for this ragtag group of ragamuffins finding a way to take down Goliath. That's what happened.
This whole thing makes me want a muffin now.
I always want a muffin.
Yeah. Like, do we need to find a muffin sponsorship for this show?
Come on. Can you imagine?
Yeah, Built Bar's got to have some muffins, right? like a Built muffin.
Yeah. Okay. I think we need to.
I think we need to call our sponsors.
We need to talk to Built.
Yeah, we have $1 million idea. And I don't have a fancy one word for this game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna go with fun.
Come on.
Because that's what this stretch is, and I know there's some people, we talked about this before the show, some people decrying, this trust and just be like, I just wish they would stop and, this and that. And I don't I'm having fun. It's having fun with zero expectations, seeing a team of Tommy Novak, who I think a lot of people just kind of forgot about in the grand scheme of the Predators depth chart before the season.
Yeah.
Like Luke Evangelista, who we weren't entirely sure we would even see on the team this season. Phil Tomasino, who was buried in Milwaukee to start the year. Guys like Spencer Stastny, who, talk about him, who's had a very, very strong start. Guys that we didn't think we would be seeing as major players for this team just somehow coming together and making a strong chase and beating a very good team like the Vegas Golden Knights. Was it clean? No. There's certainly a lot of stuff going on that, you look at and it's like, okay, that's not exactly what a 5-star hockey team does. But hey, it kind of reminds me of, 2008 when the Predators were absolutely garbage and then made a late postseason run. And then one of the most entertaining playoff series I think the Preds had ever been in, which is that first round game against the then eventual Stanley Cup champion Detroit. Kind of reminds me of that, 2004 team when, They just went on that late season run and made their first playoff appearance.
Yeah.
It kind of just reminds me of that. It's like, you know what? These are a bunch of people that you would not have expected to get to that point. All of a sudden going on a run and getting close to that point. And again, like you and I have talked about this. I have zero expectations for this team getting into the postseason. Like if, they miss it at this point, it's like, okay, well, kind of expected. If they make it, it's like, wow, this is kind of cool. Now we get some postseason hockey to talk about. So it's just fun. Like, it's just fun to watch fun players. It's fun to watch guys like Cody Glass and Phil Tomasino and Luke Evangelista and Tommy Novak and kind of picture them playing on like a marquee team over the next couple of years, or guys like Luke Evangelista playing in the opposite side of Philip Forsberg, and that's making me salivate. I mean, it's just fun. It's just fun to watch this team right now.
Yeah. My grandfather used to have a saying. He used to say some people would kick if they had both legs cut off.
Yeah.
And I think you're seeing some of that from this fan base who cried out for tear it down. Blah,
Play the
blah,
young
blah.
people.
Oh, yeah. Bring up the young people. Develop. Look, that's what's happening. And y'all are still fussing.
Yeah.
Y'all are still fussing. And here's where I'm at with that. Like, fan bases are a lot like 15-year-old boys. You kind of got to love them, but they're loud and they're certain they're right, but they don't know what they don't know. And there are elements in this fan base that is acting like 15-year-old boys. You know what? Like you said, no expectations on this season, and whatever happens, happens. But we get a chance to watch this team compete hard. These young players get a chance to play games with higher stakes than just kind of throwing up their hands and saying, well, we're not good. We're rebuilding. We're out of it. What are y'all complaining about?
Yeah.
Quit your bitching.
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
More from this game in a second, because speaking of quit your bitching, Jonathan Marchessault and that last penalty, that deserves to be put on a microscope a little bit. Plus more from this game, including Tommy Novak, another great game for him. And what are the playoff picture looks like now after last night's game? Talk about all that in a second, but first want to mention today's show is brought to you by Indeed. And we play fantasy sports, right? You know how you go through and draft all your players and do a lot of research and like handpick the guys you want for your team. Don't you wish you could do that for your business? Handpick the best possible stars for your business team. And if you're building a talent roster, that's why you need Indeed. Indeed is the hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place, so you don't spend hours on multiple job sites looking for candidates with the right skills. You can do it all on Indeed. You can find top talent fast with Indeed's suite of powerful hiring tools like matching, assessment, and virtual interviews. And we all hate waiting, right? We're an impatient bunch here. Indeed's U.S. data shows over 80% of Indeed employees find quality candidates whose resume on Indeed matches their job description the moment they sponsor the job. Indeed knows when you're growing your business, you have to make every dollar count. That's why with Indeed, you only pay for quality applicants that match your must-have requirements. So visit Indeed.com/lockedon to start hiring right now. Again, Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. Cost per application pricing not available for everyone. If you need to hire, you need Indeed. All right, Ann, it feels like we're kind of a broken record at this point, but let's talk about Tommy Novak, shall we?
Tommy freaking Novak.
Tommy Novak, a 2-goal game for him last night, added another assist on that overtime winner, so another 3-point performance. The man is red hot right now, 7 points in his last 3 games. 41 points in 46 games this season. And as I brought up last night on the ESPN broadcast, since Tommy Novak has been recalled, the leading scorer on the Nashville Predators.
Who saw that coming?
Tommy Novak, apparently.
Tommy Novak saw that
He
coming.
put it in his manifestation journal.
He did. And look at what's happening. Look, this is a player who has come in, and we've talked about this. He's really made a great impression when he was recalled, contributing. But we kind of have been waiting, like, okay, you started hot. That's really great. But at some point, this is going to level off, and we're going to really kind of see where Tommy Novak lands. I'm suspicious that this may be where Tommy Novak lands. And I think there's a couple things contributing to his success. One, I think this is just a player who is ready. I think the timing for Tommy Novak is right. I think he's had a lot of seasoning with Carl Taylor in Milwaukee. I think he has put in the work. I also think it helps that he's been recalled and is playing with Luke Evangelista, Laverne and Shirley. We talked about that earlier.
Yeah.
There is just a really great chemistry between them. They read the game very similar. They play the game very similar. And I think that's benefiting both of them. And I think we can say going forward, if Novak and Evangelista make this roster out of camp next season, I don't see why this success is the anomaly. I think this really could be what Tommy Novak is. And he's having success against teams like the Vegas Golden Knights, against Boston, against high quality teams. So it's not just like he can take advantage of poor defense or bad goaltending. This is somebody who's just playing really good hockey.
And that to me is the key, Anne. Like the shooting percentage is at 20% right now, which who knows if that's going to keep up.
I mean, yeah.
But it's again, I look at how he's playing over maybe what some of the numbers tell me.
Exactly.
And you watch him and he's got really good hockey sense. He's got that really good shot. I think we saw that on the first goal last night. Just the patience, not to try to stick handle it too much. Just kind of that long, let that puck almost glide to the backhand of his stick and then roofing it over Jonathan Quick, not trying to kind of push or force the issue. Yeah. That is a really great shot, like a really good fundamental on a backhand shot like that. The other thing I want to mention on that play is the Shirley, to your Laverne and Shirley, is Luke Evangelista. I love this play on that first goal so much because you see him coming to a dead stop, which is a very good instinct because your hockey instinct is to go with the flow of the play, like push it forward. He would have done that. He would have run right into the Vegas forecheck. So instead he stops. You see the Vegas forechecker kind of miss him, like extend the stick out, good smart play there. But then that also A, helps him avoid that. B, allows him time to look down ice, and C, changes the natural angle of the defense. And that springs Tommy Novak for what was basically a breakaway on Jonathan Quick. So yeah, the shot from Novak, chef's kiss. But that Luke Evangelista play to make that happen, that's the sugar Papa likes.
I feel a little bit uncomfortable, but I don't disagree. Wow. We talked to John Hynes after the game about Tommy Novak and the success that he's having. And he really had some interesting insight. He was talking about one of the things that he likes best about what he's seeing from Novak is that when Novak has what Hynes referred to as like a B game, not his A game, but his B game, maybe not his best performance, he's still figuring out ways in those games to contribute. And he's figuring out what he needs to do to respond the next game. And so you see him making these adjustments and finding ways to fix something that may have been off in a game. And so that's one of the things that I think is really encouraging about Tommy Novak is you're seeing this player who is getting experience, but who is continually learning through this process. He's doing a phenomenal job with this opportunity and really has figured out what he needs to do to keep improving even at the NHL level. Like, this isn't a kid who's like, okay, I've arrived. Yeah. He's just continuing to do the work. It's been really fun to watch.
Yeah. And that is a player that is going to get very wild or very good at the end of the season, like wildly good. Yeah. The other thing we should mention, Anne, is I guess an apology to the power play.
Okay.
Because right after we talked about the Preds power play needing some oomph, not necessarily having that quality finish, they go out and score 2 power play goals.
Hey, we
2 of
stand
4 on their
corrected.
chances, including the game winner at the end.
Yeah, that was a great opportunity. And we talked about it. The power play has looked pretty good, but hasn't finished. Tommy Novak decided, you want a finisher?
Mhm.
I'm going to finish. And then in the overtime on the power play with the game-winning goal, this was really interesting. Hynes was asked, he took the timeout, and he was asked, like, did you draw up that play, in the timeout in overtime? And he said, no, I'm going to be honest with you. Like, these were players that haven't played together. You usually practice 4-on-3. We've never practiced 4-on-3 with the group of players that we've had because we've had so many coming in and out. So it was, them drawing up, hey, you're going to go here, you're going to go here, you're going to play here. And look what they created. Cody Glass was looking for the pass to Phil Tomasino, but just happened to bank it off of the defender, which all's fair, and it scored. But the power play, again, like you need that guy that's going to crash the net like Novak did in regulation and finish that. So, thanks for listening. Make sure you subscribe, Tommy Novak.
Yeah, thank you for the TED Talk.
That's right.
And not just the power play either, but I think we also have to highlight the penalty kill because we saw them come up huge on what was basically a minute 45 of 5-on-3, a couple really good plays all around. And I was, other than that last goal was maybe the loudest you heard Bridgestone Arena all night when they killed, even more so than those first 2 Tommy Novak goals. And the players notice. Here's what Phil Tomasino had to say about those special teams plays in this game.
I mean, that 5-on-3, I think was huge, just momentum. I think Gravy blocked, 5 or 6 shots in a row there. So just speaks to the volume. I think that really gave us that momentum, and we kind of had that throughout the rest of the game. So that was huge, and I thought our power play was pretty good today, especially early on. So we got to continue to have that, and that's obviously a big part of I think of our team's success. So when the special teams are buzzing, we're playing well. So
it's hard to think of a moment other than when you're at home and you kill off a 5-on-3, other than like a big goal or maybe a fight. That to me, Ann, is one of the moments that is just guaranteed to make a home crowd go absolutely wild. And it also, to highlight the point, killing off a big power play is a big momentum changer. You saw that happen the other way, didn't you? Where, the Preds had a big penalty kill, Vegas squashed it, and then immediately scored that first goal.
Yeah. So much happens in special teams beyond the 2 minutes. It's not just about the 2-minute opportunity. It's about what happens after that. And like you said, when the Nashville Predators were killing off that 5-on-3, Bridgestone was electric. Even during the kill, when Kevin Lankinen was making just some incredible saves, when Kevin Gravel was blocking shots like he was the backup goaltender, you had these guys just working so hard. And you have to remember, they were out there for most of that 145. I mean, these 3 guys, it was Fabro, Fabro, Sissons, and Gravel, and Lankinen. Bridgestone, every block, every save, every scurry to get the puck away from the net was really, it just generated a response. And like you said, now, remember, after that 5-on-3, Tyson Barrie scored. So there was a momentum. Now, did it get taken away because he kicked it? Yes. But you see that what happens in those 2 minutes isn't just what special teams is about. It's about what happens after those 2 minutes. And last night's game was a testament to that.
Absolutely. More coming up in just a second from this game last night.
First, I want to let you know today's episode is brought to you by our great friends at FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are almost here, so now is the perfect time to download FanDuel. It's America's #1 sportsbook because new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win. So just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. This app is safe, secure. It is super easy to use. Then you can bet on everything from the money line to point scorers and threes drained. They have some exclusive bets too, like the 2x3. Will 2 3-pointers be scored in the first 3 minutes? Plus, FanDuel even lets you combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with a same game parlay. So don't miss the chance to get your no sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA.
All right, so let's look at the playoff picture right now,
Yes.
because the Preds last night keep throwing a wrench into these plans. So for the first time in a while, the Preds and Winnipeg Jets are even on games played. So the whole games at hand thing has kind of gone away. Jets are 3 points ahead of the Preds. They have 89. Preds have 86. Calgary has played one more game than both of those teams. They have 87. Basically, what this comes down to is Preds and Jets have 5 games remaining. Nashville needs 4 more points in those last 5 games than the Jets get. And the pretty much straightforward path is get 2 more wins than they do. You play them once. So there's one.
Yeah.
So basically, you're going to have to look for an opportunity where you can win a game and they lose a game.
Yes.
And also, let's not forget that Calgary is right in the middle. Calgary plays the Jets tonight in Winnipeg. And then guess who Calgary plays after that, Ann?
Who?
The Nashville Predators.
Come on.
So,
this is insane.
This is going to be a kerfuffle of the last few weeks of the season. And I mean, what's the key if you're the Nashville Predators, if you're looking at this? Or I guess the better question is, you look at this, what do you think the chances are? Like, what do you put the Preds' chances at?
You know, this is such a hard question after a game like last night, because let's face it, yesterday morning we felt like the chances were slim to none. I don't know that they're a ton better, because if you look, the Predators on Thursday play Carolina. They have to still finish the season with Minnesota and Colorado in back-to-backs. There is not an easy game left on the schedule, which we've been talking about. So I think it's definitely going to be a challenge. The key to it, and something that Hynes talked about last night, is the key to this is helping this team mature to a place in these last 5 games where they're able to string together performances like last night. And if you notice, the pattern's kind of been have a great game, don't quite generate that same energy, maybe lose a game, but realize the adjustments, make adjustments, come back in and compete in a game. They have to string high quality performances together for the next 5 games. And that's a big ask for any team. That's a big ask against the opponents that the Predators have. It's a big ask for a young, kind of a young team. I don't know that the Predators can do it. Just full disclosure. I think the Jets have an easier schedule.
And here's what's interesting. Technically, yes, but they play 3 of their last 5 games are against similar opponents.
Yeah.
The Preds have Calgary, Carolina, Minnesota, Colorado. The Jets have San Jose, Calgary, Minnesota, and Colorado.
Colorado, yeah.
So other than, swapping San Jose with Carolina, which advantage Jets on that one.
Yeah, it feels like it.
You're playing the same opponents. So, yeah, I mean, this is going to be an interesting kind of measuring stick. The Jets have had a couple of big wins in a row, but, they haven't exactly been, gangbusters either.
True.
So, I mean, that's the key to me. Like, if the Predators wind up winning Saturday in Winnipeg, and then they can find a way to beat Calgary, all of a sudden you're looking at who's going to have, like, you're looking at who just does better against Colorado and Minnesota. And that's an interesting place to be.
Well, and here's what's a little bit frustrating for me as you look at this Predator schedule. Carolina, Colorado, Minnesota, they're still vying for the playoff spot they want. It's not like we're going to run into these teams at the end of the season that are in the playoffs and they're going to rest their best guys. They're still playing for position. They're playing for, their spot. So it's not going to be easy for the Predators, but here's what I'm going to say. There is no reason that we should even be having a postseason conversation about this Nashville Predators team. No reason. So go along for the ride, friends. This is going to be fun. The team has talked about we're going to do this one game at a time, one shift at a time. They're not overwhelmed. Their eyes aren't huge looking at the schedule because they're literally concentrating on what's right in front of them. Carolina's going to be a big game on Thursday night. So, let's see if the Predators can bring their A game 2 games in a row and see what happens. I don't necessarily think it's going to happen, but I'm here to watch it all go down, friends.
And that's fair. Again, like we said, just having fun kind of watching this. I will throw out kind of a wild card too. The Jets' last game is Thursday at Colorado.
Come on, Colorado.
The Preds' last game is Friday at home against Colorado. So there is a better chance that Colorado might be resting some guys. And again, this might be a moot point before then, but it's not out of the question that, Colorado locks up what they need to lock up beforehand. And then, you play Thursday and then going on the road, second half of a back-to-back game, you don't have much to play for. That might be a situation that benefits the Preds.
I mean, we're going to take every advantage we can get.
Yeah.
I'm here for that if it happens. I'm here for that.
Yeah. So a lot of interesting things. But again, I think you said it best, Anne. Got to get past Carolina first.
Yeah.
Where I think we can officially reach the stage where every game from here on out is must win. If you're somebody who wants the Preds to get into the postseason, which I think at this point we certainly do. So,
why not?
So yeah, so one thing at a time. And of course, we're going to be scoreboard watching tonight because the Jets and Flames play. That game could shape a lot of things about the Preds' playoff future as well. So we'll be here to talk about that tomorrow and more fun Preds stuff. And where can people find your work?
You can find my work online at InsideThePreds.com. You can find me on Twitter at AnnK_Mama on Ice.
You can find me at penaltyboxradio.com. Follow me on Twitter at _NSMorgan. Also, be sure to follow the podcast at LO_Predators. However you are listening to us right now, whether you're watching us on YouTube or streaming us on your favorite podcasting platform, hit that subscribe button. Always helps us out. That's going to do it for us on today's Locked On Predators podcast. Thanks for making us your first listen of the day. Back tomorrow with an all-new episode. See you then.